Hey everybody. Today I just want to share 3 quick stories from my life. That's it. Nothing fancy, just 3 stories. The first one is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but I stuck around campus, crashing classes here and there, for another 1.5 years before I finally left for good. Why did I drop out? It actually starts before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unmarried college grad student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She really wanted me to be adopted by people with college degrees, so everything was set for me to go to a lawyer and his wife. Except when I was born, they decided at the last second they actually wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on the waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night. "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." Later, my biological mother found out that my mom had never graduated college, and my dad never even finished high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. A few months later, she finally agreed, only after my parents promised I would go to college one day. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a school that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and all of my working-class parents' life savings went toward my tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it anymore. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. Here I was, burning through every penny my parents had ever saved. So I dropped out, and I trusted that it would all work out okay. It was pretty terrifying at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I stopped taking the required classes that didn't interest me and started dropping in on the ones that looked cool. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food, and I'd walk 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And almost everything I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. At the time, Reed College had probably the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Every poster on campus, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphied. Since I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class just to learn how to do it. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even the slightest practical application in my life at the time. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came rushing back, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single calligraphy course, the Mac would never have had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was crystal clear looking backward 10 years later. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. That approach has never let me down, and it's made all the difference in my life. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Waz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We had just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from the company you started? Well, as Apple grew, I hired someone I thought was very talented to run the company with me. For the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions for the future started to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, the board of directors sided with him. So, at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the entire focus of my adult life was gone, and it was devastating. For a few months, I really didn't know what to do. I felt like I'd let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I even thought about running away from Silicon Valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. Getting kicked out of Apple hadn't changed that one bit. I had been rejected, but I was still in love. So I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. Over the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next. I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorraine and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made a huge impression on me. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? Whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.